much anticipated interview for the day. We have taken slightly longer than scheduled because when you're perfecting art, you need to take a bit of time to make sure that it is good and perfect. I would like to welcome you to this week's Money Chat. Okay, and today we're talking to a very special person, and his name is Mangaliso Chihana. Now, our conversation is coming from the topic that we've had this week, and that is we would talk about oil value chain. And that's why today we're bringing you face to face with somebody who's actually been doing it for quite some time. So, without further ado, let me bring our special guest onto the live stream. Mangali, so how are you?
I'm
How
good,
are you,
thanks, Ken. How are
Mangali?
you doing?
Finally, we get to speak. I'm actually fine. I've had a very busy day, hectic in its own special way, but it's been a very busy day. It's been work after work, getting things done, preparing for this evening, and here we are. First things first. Are you in Lusaka, Chipata, or somewhere around Zambia? Lundazi? Where are we speaking to you from?
Yeah.
Did,
Right now,
yeah.
I'm in Chipata. Was in Lundazi this morning, so I was doing traveling the whole day in the rural areas. So I'm in Chipata right now.
Okay, no, that's actually nice. So, Mangali, so money chat basically is a conversation about money. Now, most people don't like the conversation about money. What they want is just to get to the money part. They don't know that to get to the money, there's actually a story behind it. And our
Yeah,
conversation educate those that think that they just need to
true.
find themselves in money, So we do a show on Money FM called Money Business Insights, and this week we've been talking about oils, right? Now you are in the sector, you are in the value chain, you are part of the value chain. Before we get into it in detail, the first thing that I would want is to basically find out. Tell us your background. Let's get to understand whether you have a similar background with Triple H, or is it was it HH7? Because people want to hear the humble side, get to know how it was. How did we get to where we are?
uh, wow. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Great. So, uh, I come from quite a humble background. Uh, I was born in Kabwe, grew up there, did my secondary school in Mumbwa, and completed from there. Professionally or career-wise, I studied IT at Zikas, and whilst at Zikas pursuing IT, uh, upon finishing, I remember I started working in the bank. So I got a job in the bank, and I worked for a bank for about 2 years. Yeah, 2 years and some months. And I was working in the bank. I think that's where my passion for entrepreneurship really became strong because of the kind of environment I was surrounding myself in, the kind of people that I met whilst working in the bank. So it was all
Mhm.
those things that led into me growing and starting to search for what I really wanted to do in the entrepreneurship space until I got to become the rural entrepreneur that I am today. So
Okay.
basically, my life has been one where well, I only worked for one organization on a professional level and we did entrepreneurship.
And immediately you basically branched off into entrepreneurship. How did
Yeah.
this idea come up? How did you find yourself pursuing a value chain that how did you get to producing oil, cooking oil and things like that? How did the idea come up?
Okay. At first, I remember when I went because My family, I'm actually Tumbuka by tribe, so my village is in Eastern Province, Lundazi. That's why. So there's a time I stayed with my grandparents and also some relatives in Eastern Province. And at the time, there was nothing of this sort that was happening. So I remember there's a was working in the bank. There were a number of people that I sort of heard of directly that were involved in different kinds of businesses that emerged from the Eastern Province and were actually at the top of the business, or in short of, they were at the top of the business movers in Lusaka. I remember some of those are people that would actually run to as a bank to try and get the account to open with our bank and all those. So when I started looking at some of the figures that they were making and the kind of businesses they were doing, it sort of made me want to know exactly, say, okay, I know some of these guys and I can trace back their footsteps to where they originated from. So as a result of that, I decided to actually do a tour of Eastern Province. And whilst I was doing a tour of Eastern Province, I realized that there were a lot of activities around farming that were happening. But then, as that was happening, there was very little value addition that was happening to most of the crops that were being produced. So I remember seeing, I think, one or two people that had small pressing machines that could make cooking oil. Yeah, but then they were not doing it at a commercial basis per se, but they were doing it just for and there. So out of that, I realized that if I could only tap into what was happening at the time, I would manage to actually maybe add value at a greater level and maybe make it bigger. So as a result of that tour, uh, I think I saw an opportunity and I decided to maximize on it. So that's how I
Okay,
entered the whole
pretty
business.
interesting. Pretty interesting. I like how you identified the opportunity because, see, that's one of the biggest challenges that entrepreneurs have. They lack the ability to
Yeah.
identify such opportunities. Now, one of the biggest complaints that entrepreneurs have is they complain about capital. How did you overcome that challenge? Because I'd like to believe at this particular point, you're in production as we speak and you're doing value addition.
Yeah, exactly. So, honestly speaking, for me, as I worked in the bank, one of the major things I wanted to do was to save up money to a point whereby by the time I'm leaving the bank, I'll have enough capital to actually start my business. Because I think that was the advice we'd get from everyone. They would say, no, do your work, raise enough money. After you raise enough money, you can invest that money into the project you want to do, and it will be easier. But for me, I realized that every month and after getting paid, I failed to save. As in, I tried as much as I could. The formula of saving money did not work for me,
Shipwreck, shipwreck.
and I just said, exactly. I just said, anyway, for this, I think for me, I'm not good at saving. I know people say save and work and save, but for me, all the money was going. I would make money. I mean, I get my salary. At the end of it, I would find myself spending all the money. So I failed. So I just said, don't know. The best and the easiest way for me is to give myself a date. Say by this date I should leave, and after leaving, I should find a way of going. So I remember I even handed in my notice. After handing in my notice, by the time I was reaching the month end, I knew that this is going to be my last salary. And it being my last salary, it was not even enough money to actually invest into the business that I wanted to do. But fortunately, whilst I was working on in the bank, with a background of IT, I had certain clients that I used to do private jobs for example, website management, the digital marketing, and the like, branding. So I would do those now. So those did not really require me to be in the presence of, of, uh, I mean, to only do it when I'm with the customer. So I'll do those online from home and maybe on weekends. But then it was still conflicting because I never had enough time to actually concentrate on building the business because I would always say I can build my business to a bigger level, but then I don't have enough time. And I remember one of my friends who's actually an entrepreneur. once met me whilst I was there. I was complaining about time itself. I was like, hey, you know what? I really want to do A, B, C, D, but the thing is, I don't have time. And my friend said, you know what? There's a huge difference between you and me. For you, you've got a guaranteed salary at the end of the month. For me, I don't have a guaranteed salary at the end of the month. But there's one asset that I have that you do not have. I have all the time in the world, and I'll use it wise. That's what the guy said. And after he said that, it began to ring a bell in my head. I'm like, you know what? Time is really an asset, and it's actually something that must be managed and played around as well. And those were one of those moments where I began to think of my exit plan and to hand over my resignation. And after I did that, after I handed in my resignation, and I went, I had no capital per se, but apart from the salary that I left with. But one thing I did is that I managed that salary quite well to a point whereby I found I first of all had to start looking for the machine that would produce
Mm-hmm.
the thing for me, the oil for me. So after looking for the machine, I found a place where I could pay a small amount of it, and after paying a small amount, they would actually release the machine. Then I would begin to pay for it bit by bit. So that was the first step I took. I remember I think I just needed to pay like something like a 10,000 kwacha for that machine to be released. And when that yeah, but then the funny part that before that actually happened, whilst I was still trying to stabilize after I'd quit my job. Because I think from quitting my job to the point where I actually got the machine, there was about a period of 3 to 4 months actually. So I survived in that period. I survived off my IT skills and also raised bits of money from those same IT skills here and there, and also from the part of my salary which was my last one. I remember I used that to pay for my bills and rentals and the like. So out of that survival period I was doing, when I found that promotion of saying we can get a machine for you within 3 to 4 months, I knew that I had to jump on it. And
Okay, we're hoping to get him back. The network is misbehaving. Just give us a minute. We should get him back. Oh, no, he's actually dropped. Okay, at this point, we'll take a break. Let's just pay homage to our sponsors. And then we'll be back on the other side speaking to Mangaliso on this particular program. Let's just take a quick break, and we'll be back as we pay homage to our sponsors. And we're back. Okay, so we continue with the conversation that we're having with Mangali. So he dropped off for a few seconds. Okay, and he was explaining to
yeah,
us the
network.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It was getting exciting because now you've got this down payment that you've put up. Now you're starting to tell us because you see, it's like it's most people always
yeah,
blame lack of capital for them to fail to innovate, and I always tell people that's a big excuse you make that just blocks you from success. There are many ways to get around capital. Capital is not always money. Sometimes it's just an
yeah,
asset. In your case, you were pre-financed to a large extent by being given a machine. Okay, with a deposit as a commitment. So tell us a bit more about how that particular machine brings about the rest of the business that we're seeing.
yeah. So I don't know if I am I clear? Yes.
Yes,
Am
you
I
are.
clear now? I know I dropped off. Hi.
Yes, you're clear.
Hey, can you hear me? Oh, okay, all right, okay. Your image looks frozen, so I was wondering if I'm on. All right, so uh, after yeah, so definitely after that bit of finance, yeah. Uh-huh. So after that bit of finance, after making that down payment, I remember that in between that and the machine coming, I remember there was a period where I'd actually found a place to rent where the machine was supposed to sit, and that place I remember paying rent for a while without actually having the machine come there. So the time I had the idea, I still straight away went to look for a place that I could actually put the machine at. And upon finding the place, I remember talking to the owner, and I remember I kept paying rent for the place. I think for about 7 months or so. I was paying rent for a building, and I remember the owner of the building was asking me, saying, "Okay, but why are you paying for rent for something that you're not yet using?" I'm like, "No, I'm paying rent
Mm.
because I know what I'm doing, and like, so your money will be. I mean, just continue taking care of the place. Eventually, the machine will come." And to his surprise, after a few months of paying rent without using the place, the machine came and it was installed at the place.
Okay. Okay, just hoping we get him back. He's still with us. Otherwise, he has not gone anywhere. It just should be a network thing. So that's a very important point that he's explaining, especially for those that are aspiring to become entrepreneurs, and you're getting to understand how people deal with capital issues as an example. So we're getting Mangaliso back in a few seconds. I can see we had a bit of a network challenge there, but he's going to join us. He's back. Okay. Sorry, we lost you for a bit. Are you able to hear us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey. Yeah. Yeah. Network is quite bad. I think that's why I don't know why it keeps dropping me off.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So,
yeah. So anyway, with the capital issue, I think I left at the point where I was talking about how. Okay, am I still breaking?
no, you're good. We can hear you clearly.
Oh, I'm good. Okay. Okay, great. Okay. Or maybe let me turn off my video. Maybe it's just to increase the thing. I remain with audio.
Well, I think people are more comfortable seeing your
Maybe
face.
maybe
So,
to be better. Let me try. Let me try this. So yeah. So, okay. All right. Okay. Cool. All right. Yeah. So with the same yeah. So with the same issue of I know at some point maybe it cut whilst I was still talking. So maybe people might have missed. So forgive me if I repeat myself on certain parts. So yeah. So it was after a few months of not paying rent with not having the machine that the machine actually eventually came to the place where we're currently working from. And after that, I know I struggled to actually finish paying for the machine because I would have to pay a certain amount of money for the machine to come. And
okay, the network is really doing its numbers. Thank you, Vincent Kakua. Tell us where you're watching from. Please do leave a comment so that we can see. We also have a comment from Malaysia, Gabriel Muzumala. Gabriel is Gabriel basically just said hello, was just greeting Mangaliso. Gabriel is actually saying hi, Mangaliso. Gabriel Muzumala, Malaizio. Okay. And Vincent, who's actually watching, Vincent Kakua, who's watching from
Hey,
Woodlands in Lusaka. Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
mm,
so we can continue.
yeah, great. Awesome. Yeah, I've changed network, so I hope this one will be better. I think it's more stable even. So good. Oh, great. Yeah. So I know I was actually explaining, say, how the machine got there and the like. So for me, the capital was not that I was handed capital for me to start. It was just a matter of me identifying an opportunity with the little that I had, and I made the faith a step of faith to pay for the machine that I knew once I have would actually be easier for me to actually produce what I wanted to start producing. So I paid rent for a number of months without having the machine set up. And I kept on believing that I would one day manage to pay for that machine. When it came, as I continued paying for it in installments, I know I struggled to pay for it. I think I paid for it over the course of 1.5 years, I think. But at some points, there were times where I would be threatened by the company that supplied the machine to me. They'd say they would repossess it and repossess it and the like. Until I just got to the point where I managed to clear it. So that for me that was the capital. So the capital for me was the mindset of wanting to do something properly. Other than the mindset, I identified what I wanted to do, and also I
Okay. We still have him, by the way. He hasn't disappeared like he was earlier. Ah, now he's disappeared. Okay, now he's disappeared. We're probably gonna get him back in a few seconds. He's live in Chipata. Okay, so we are having this conversation, learning a lot. On in case you missed out on how he started, how he quit his job, and the first monies that he had, he basically started pushing. He started pushing his business. First one machine, about 1 year, 4 months, he struggled to pay. You know, those are entrepreneur stories. Those are the stories that you want to hear, because some of us are out there hoping that our entrepreneurship life will be met with success from day one. And others are always are blaming capital. They're saying, "Look, I don't have capital, so I can't start." We've got Mangaliso back. We've got you back. Oh, this time you're looking much clearer. Someone, okay, the network seems much kinder now. Okay. Yes, you can continue. We also have Lusungu Unlovu, who's equally
I
welcome.
oh okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so you can continue where you left from.
Mhm. Yeah, okay. So yeah, so like I was saying, for me, the capital was mainly the mindset that I had to start, the identifying the opportunity, and also paying the first amount that would keep me bound to paying for the machine over years. So it was from there that I began to start. So that was my initial capital.
Okay. Now let's discuss the issue of market. Okay. How did you pick your target market? For starters, you're in Lundazi. That's where you've set up. You never picked any other town. You
Yeah.
just picked Lundazi and you started from there. So how is it that
Okay.
how did you pick your target market? Because most entrepreneurs want to
Yeah.
service every. So how did you do that? How did you pick your niche?
Okay. So for me, two options. One was setting up in Lusaka, and two was setting up in the rural area we are in. I remember the biggest debate I had was that if I'm setting up in Lusaka, the market is bigger there, there's more people, and once I do that, it will be quicker for me to sell. But then I was looking at it at from the angle of saying I'm still a startup, and as a startup, how costly would it be for me to set up in Lusaka and to do everything from there? When I compared to setting up in the rural area as opposed to setting up in the city, I discovered that the costs in the rural area would be cheaper because one, the raw materials themselves are actually farmed in the rural areas. Two, that would mean that I'm closer to where the source is, and also it would cut off on the transportation of the raw materials from the rural area all the way to the Saka. So I discovered that there would be a lot of cost benefits for me. That was one of the reasons I decided to set up in the rural area. And also in terms of identifying my niche market, uh, I realized that for things like edible oil,
Okay, yet again. Okay, yet again. Okay, we've got him back. He didn't even take too long. He's back. We're adding Mr. Mangaliso. Okay, you dropped off when you're explaining the edible oils. How you, yes.
yeah. So I realized that things like edible oils are things that are good market wherever you go because people cook from anywhere you go. So I realized, okay, I would just set up here because the cost of transportation will be cut off, the cost of me going to traveling a long distance to look for the raw materials will be cut off. So that was the reason behind setting up in that particular area. And also, I realized that the people that are in the rural areas also most of them only have one form of job, which is farming. So I realized if I opened up my small business there, I would have certain people that would actually come and work with me or work for me and help me achieve my goals because they've got more time on their hands. So it was also a bit more cost effective for me to actually set up there.
Okay, as we're getting Mangaliso back, Vincent, you're saying I am enjoying the discussion and encouraged by learning ideas from fellow business persons. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to apply these lessons in my business too. And then when you apply them, you can come and have this conversation on Money Chat so that you can inspire others on their entrepreneur journey. So, Mangaliso is a trailblazer. He's called the Rural Entrepreneur. That's the man who went and set up in the rural area and came up with a very amazing solution for the people in Lundazi. You can leave us a comment drop us a comment if you want to share. I believe you saw Vincent's comment just before you dropped off.
Hey, yeah. Okay, so you said I continue from where I dropped off?
Yes, 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 yes.
Kenny?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, you can continue.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah. Still talking on the target market and okay, all right.
Yes.
So still talking on the target market and okay, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
So
You
yeah,
you can continue.
so with the people that were located there, that came to help me work there, also and help me understand the yeah. Mhm. Yeah, so they helped me understand the market there, and I had a lot of people that would come and buy in bulk from me, uh, and they would resell. So since we're offering cheaper services, so the market was quite wide because resellers would approach us, and also people that just wanted to use for consumption would actually come and they would buy from us. So the target market was mainly moved as a result. I mean, the target market was mainly identified by me as a result of the kind of people that I worked with, and also as a result of the low cost of setting up in the world. Am I still online? You look to be frozen from my end. Okay, seems my host has fallen off. We wait for him. I know your doctor sent me some of the questions. Let me see if I can answer some of them. Okay, so one of the other questions that he asked me was, what products do you produce? So when it comes to the products that we produce, we do cooking oil or edible oils, like you said. But then out of that, we've got byproducts of the same, which is sunflower cake. Sunflower cake is actually an ingredient which is used in making of animal feed. So people usually add it to animal feed, and then uh, it's actually you can also just feed it to chickens or pigs, whatever animals you have, as it is. The other product that we make is actually we make soap from the cooking oil itself that we produce. We can actually make it into soap. So we've got some soap bars that we make, which are good for washing, cooking, washing, bathing, etc. So that's how it is. Yeah. So okay, my host just sent me a message. He said his laptop just blacked out. So I'm sure our conversation might continue better with him being there. So maybe for now I will leave. Thank you very much for everybody that's joined. I'm sure we'll arrange better. I think we also just need to use another platform so that it's easier for me to also remain online without logging out. Thank you very much.
Look, I guess we're still live. All right. The live broadcast has not ended, and I hope I can get Mangaliso back. I'm just trying to restore the signal. Okay. I had a bit of a glitch there. Okay. All right. Just a quick one. Okay. Let's see if All right. Technology decided to do perform miracles. Are you able to hear me, Mangaliso? Hello? Are you able to hear me? Are you able to hear me? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna ask him two more questions. Okay, we're gonna ask him two more questions, and we'll pick it up. Yeah, we'll pick it up from there. There's one question that I'm really in particular with, and this one has to do with farmers and whether they can make a profit. You know, whether the farmers can make a profit from supplying to his business. Okay, I'm just hoping we can get him back. Okay, we can get him back. I'm just hoping we can get him back just in the next few seconds. Okay, as we try and see the signal get back. In the meantime, it's very important for those that are seeking entrepreneurship, you follow the money trail. And that's why I want to show, I want him to explain a bit more about your ability to make money as a farmer if you're supplying him seed and what kind of seed is he processing. And I also want to know what the name of his brand is. Who knows? You might just be using the cooking oil that's coming from Mangaliso and his value chain. Okay, otherwise, let's bring him back on the stream. Okay, let's bring him back on the stream so that he can conclude, right, this conversation that we're having about the edible oil value chain. Because now we can talk a bit deeper in terms of what actually happens in the value chain. Okay, we're still trying to get Mangaliso back. Okay, he's disappeared. Let's. Okay. I'll quickly pay the bills again, and when we get back, we'll continue with the conversation that we're having with Mangali. So, okay, just pay homage to our sponsors. We'll be back. Okay, and we are back. I thought I lost you there.
Technology. Ish.
Technology. I
uh,
thought I lost
I
you.
kept on trying
Okay.
to come back.
All right. So Mangali, so we want to talk a bit about the value
Wow.
chain itself. So what actually happens when in the value chain? What happens? Because I want just to also you to tell us the profit story of a person who's farming seeds, and then what kind of seeds are you taking in into your process plant?
Okay. The last part sort of blocks I didn't really hear it. But you're saying what happens in the value chain. So in the value chain, from the farmer planting it and buying the seed, they would plant it. After that, after planting, what would happen is that from harvesting, the farmer would bring the seed to us, and buy it from them. After buying from them, would actually clean it up further. Of course, they have to clean it first. After cleaning it, would have to actually dry it. From the drying stage, we actually that's when we actually take it to the machine, which actually crushes the oil. From the crushing when the oil is coming out, it comes out as crude oil because it's a mixture of dirt and let me say just it's a mix of different impurities that are in it. So from that point, we take it to a process called degumming, which mainly involves heating
Mm.
the cooking oil with some water and the like, just to remove impurities and the like. Then from that point, we actually
Very interesting conversation. Hearing him talking about degumming and the removing of water. These are things that we were talking about on Tuesday on Money Business Insights when we were breaking up and bleaching and things like that as part of the process. And basically, to hear it being done is very interesting. And we're honored to actually have Mangaliso here taking out time to explain that. So, yes, you can continue.
yeah. So okay, from the drying point phase, we take it through the machine where the crushing is done. Then the oil comes out with impurities. From there, we take it through a heating process of some sort. We call it the degumming process. And from that point, we take it through filtration, whereby we filter off all the impurities from the oil, and the oil comes out clear. And from that point, we package it into containers ready for the shop. So from that, after that, we distribute it or sell it from within our premises, depending on the orders that we get.
What's the name of your brand? I'd like This is the point where we'd like to learn the brand that he actually produces. Uh, and Eastern Province has been very popular when it comes to cooking oil. It's been one of those big markets when it comes to cooking oil. You can easily get oil. In fact, when there are funerals, it's one of the easiest commodities that people contribute. So, what's the name of the brand that you produce, the cooking oil brand? Do you even have a bottle nearby that we can look at and say this is what you're producing?
It's called, yeah. So yeah, it's called Uchile. Uchile. So then it's called Uchile brand. So it's just Uchile vegetable oil or Uchile sunflower oil. Um,
Okay.
I do have singing, not here though, but I would have shown you the thing. But it's easy. If you just go to the Uchile page, you can see the products
Okay.
on
I
Facebook.
would definitely, after the live broadcast, I will get pictures of your product, right? And I'll share it for people to actually see how beautiful your brand is. Now, another opportunity I wanted you to talk about is as a supplier, what opportunities are there for me to supply things? Okay. Let's see if we can get him back. You can leave us a comment and we'll definitely read it and share your comments as you catch the live broadcast. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask him, please, by all means, go ahead and ask. We'll share those comments live on the broadcast so that people can get to understand or get answers for whatever it is that you'd like to know at this particular point. Just leave us a comment in the comment section. And then make sure you also share this live stream on your Facebook page so that other people can be able to watch. So I was asking, what opportunities do people have in terms of supplying to you or distributing your product?
The opportunities that are there for the farmers is that at least they're able to make a profit, and also they've got a guaranteed market for where they can sell their products. So there's guaranteed market. There's also an advantage. Also, payment is instant, depending on the time of the year that they come. So payment is instant. So so most of those instant financial pressures are met. Yeah. So yeah. So basically, also depending on how well the farmer worked or how good the harvest is, there's also some good profit in it. Because like from an acre of land, you can even up to 15 bags of sunflower seeds.
Mm, 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 mm. And we're talking about 15 bags of seed that can now be processed into the oil and then eventually the vegetable oil. I would
Exactly.
like you to tell us your line of products. What products are you producing? I know there's cooking oil as the reason why we're having this conversation, but what else is coming
Yeah.
out of the
The main one.
investment?
Yeah. There, there is a sunflower cake, which is an animal feed ingredient, and there is also a soap bar. So we make soap from uh, from the same oil that we produce. So there's part of it that goes to making soap, which is can be used for either bathing or washing and the like. Then there's also yeah. Then also there's also body oils that we've also started doing now. So those are about the products.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now that's amazing. In terms of distribution, do you have businessmen that are signed up as distributors of your finished product?
Yes, we do. So our expansion has been quite gradual because we have not wanted to rush it. So we've got like for Chipata, we produce in Mandazi and so in Mandazi we've got Chipata, and after this is a shop owned by us. Then in Lusaka we've got individual distributors. We've got some distributors that are there that also distribute on order.
Okay. All right. Just quick. I'd like to believe there's probably any. Okay. I think we are pretty much done with the questions, and I would like to thank you if you've got any last words that you'd like to share with our audience that is following us. Some people will probably watch this
Thank you,
after we're done
Doris.
with the live. Yeah, they'll watch this and see and pick. They'll probably writing down notes and learning a few things. So, is there anything else that you'd like
Sure.
to share? Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I think if somebody is going to get into this entrepreneurship journey, especially under agribusiness, I would encourage them to get into it on the value addition stage because that's where most of the lucrative money is. So, in short, do not just sell things in their raw form. Have an idea of how to add value. If it's mangoes you're going to go into, have an idea on how you are going to add value into mangoes. If it's animals, livestock, add value to those things so that you can actually have make more money or you can make the business more lucrative that way. Agribusiness is the way forward, and I think there's a lot of potential in the near future, especially for those that go into it seriously. So I think those are the ways that I have.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mangali. So I know you were a very busy person. You were literally on the road today, but you found time to speak to us and share very valuable knowledge, especially as a rural entrepreneur. I almost forgot to ask you, how did that come about? The rural entrepreneur.
Oh, uh, The rural entrepreneur came about as a result of where our business activities happen. I thought of myself saying, okay, I don't have to go to the city to
Okay. I'm looking forward to hearing the conclusion, the final part, which is the rural entrepreneur and why that name. Because you see, one thing I've come to learn is that most of us want to make big deals. We want to supply chain stores. And then, see, what I'm starting to discover is that most of the big businessmen that are out there are not aiming to supply ShopRite. These are big businessmen who still manage to supply the local communities without having to get a big deal with big businesses like Shoprite. You were explaining the rural entrepreneur.
yeah. So the rural entrepreneur comes as a result of where I decided to place my business and how I operate. So the vision is to actually build uh, value. Let me say to add value to raw materials in most rural areas and actually supply the urban areas. So the difference is that for us as the rural, for me as the rural entrepreneur, my vision is to actually think of what I can take from the rural to supply the urban, as opposed to getting the urban stuff and supplying the rural. That's why I call myself the rural entrepreneur.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for having given us the spare time to have this conversation. We'll definitely call on you again because there's quite a lot. You've just talked about soap, you've talked about things. And then lastly, as I say my goodbyes, are you supplying Choppies, ShopRite, Pick and Pay? Um, uh, and then also, what is your capacity? How much oil are you producing? Is it per day, per month? And from there we can say our goodbyes. The network has been very kind to us today. Okay, we're probably going to have him back, and then he's going to conclude. I like these points because these are some of the points that, like I was saying, most entrepreneurs who want to become entrepreneurs are saying, look, let me supply the big names, let me supply Shoprite, let me supply Airtel, Kansanshi Mine, and things like that. But you observe there's a lot of opportunity where rural is, and that's why some of the expansions that we've seen with businesses like Shoprite, they basically grew when they got access to the rural market. And based on that, that is the reason why you find the growth because they follow that one kwacha. Facebook makes most of its money from those that spend $1 on an advert. So you need to start with the smallest part of your business, the smallest monies, and you find that these are the monies that will constantly be your financial base. While it's good to make money from the high end customers, it's always good to keep the low end ones, the low end numbers, and keep those coming because that's what is represents your cash flow. I think at this particular point, I would like to say thank you on behalf of Mangaliso. It's been a great one, guys. We've just hit 55 minutes of conversation. And thank you until next week when we have our next guest. But before I leave, I would definitely have to pay homage to our sponsors as well as let's appreciate Money Chat. We'll have some more guests that can help us understand what's going on in the business world. And we follow the money trail so we understand where the money comes from and how the money is made. Yeah, knowledge shared, and that's very important. So I will end the show at this particular point, and I would like to say thank you to every single one of you that tuned in. Until next week. Otherwise,